Oh,
We're
there we go.
live.
All right,
Hey,
everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are listening today. We are on our series of commercial real estate, kind of general discussion, as well as kind of advanced, at times, brokerage training. So we're
uh,
talking with John Dowalskin and I'm Brett Swarts. Both of us commercial real estate brokers, and have lots of experience there, and also investors as well. I'm also founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and I'm a multifamily broker with EXP Commercial. So, John, we're talking
I'm
all things.
formerly a broker. Formerly.
Oh, okay. You get your license up, John. What happened there?
No. I still have my license. I still have my broker license. No, but I'm not. I
Practicing.
did it for a long time, right? I'm a business coach now, but no, I still have my no. I kept my license for sure.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kept the license. Yeah, that's a good point. And so, I'm licensed and I am practicing, but my main focus is Capital Gains Tax Solutions, which people get challenged with the 1031 exchange, and we solve that problem with our solution. And but yeah, I'm selling a deal right now, 15 units, multifamily, for a client, John, that otherwise would not have sold if it
Yeah.
wasn't for the deferred sales trust. And so we're here to just kind of share some wisdom, try to give back, and hopefully you gain some insight here on ways to grow your business and your practice. So, John, we're talking all things fundamentals. So when you think about commercial real estate brokerage fundamentals, what are some of the first two secrets or thoughts that come to mind?
Yeah. Whether it's commercial or even if it's residential, I think one of the things to think about are just the fundamentals of daily execution. I think, there's a book I read a long time ago called Mastery, and it talks about living on the plateau and, doing the same thing every day isn't necessarily always fun. It's not always sexy. It's not always this, but knowing what your metrics are that run your business on a day-to-day basis to prospect every single day, those things are so critical. And I think that's where a lot of people, I mean, I know we're talking real estate, but any salesperson seems to kind of fall into this pit of, cold calling in the beginning, pipeline gets ramped up, stop prospecting. Well, that's a really backwards way of looking at things. We need to be prospecting every single day. And whether it's, there's so many different ways to prospect today. Calls, meetings are back. There's now networking's coming back, and texting, social media. There's all these different ways, and so we really got to know, what we want to make, and then reverse engineer what we have to do every day to make that happen. And that's the key. It's the consistency, right? Like really committing to the metrics, lowering the bar if you have to be consistent. But being consistent is absolutely quintessential. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you can't move forward if you don't have small consistent fundamental wins every day. And you're right, in commercial real estate it starts with the cold call, and it starts with getting in those reps. It starts with understanding your marketplace, right? It could be reviewing the comps, right? Reviewing who the buyers and sellers are. Having good solid interest generators when you're calling somebody, having something of value. All of those things prepare you, right? Sharpen the saw. But if you're not getting out there and actually calling and talking with people and discussing these things, and then of course listing properties and closing deals and going on meetings, then nothing goes anywhere. So everything, I think, rises and falls on sales and on your leadership of yourself, right? And if you're not any organization that's not out there prospecting and out bringing leads, everything else dies on the vine, right? So
Yeah.
you've got to get that ship off of the ground, or that the plane off of the ground, that ship out of harbor. It takes a massive amount of inertia or force to get that going. And but you're right. If you stop that and you stop staying consistent on those things, then you can expect your metrics to fall off. And that typically what we found when we had the training at Marcus and Millichap was, you cold call, to get X amount of meetings, and X amount of meetings lead to X amount of proposals, and X amount of proposals, X amount of listings, and those amount of listings, that many amount of closings, and then so you can reverse engineer that on an average sales price of $1 million to $3 million, let's just say on the list side, and potentially representing both sides. But yeah, knowing those key numbers. If you don't know those numbers and where you're going, then good luck having the motivation or the drive to actually do those disciplines.
Yeah. I remember I'm 49 years old as we record this. And when I was 18, my dad gave me a set of tapes that's by Brian Tracy called The Psychology of Success. And he said, Jonathan, you'll learn more from these people than you will college. I went to college, but I learned so much. And that's where I really started learning about prospecting, right? I mean, I had worked since I was 13. I didn't know if I knew the word prospect up until, Brian Tracy started talking about how to talk to prospects. And I became addicted to that type of learning. I mean, there isn't a day that's gone by since I was 18 where I haven't listened to, all of these gurus and now podcasts and books, et cetera. But my point is you have to study your craft, right? And so I've been studying prospecting since I was 18. Before that, I just didn't even know what it was. But I've been studying it, and it is an art, and it's a science. And there's so many business people that talk about the art and the science of this and the other, and the left brain and the right brain. And you can look at it from an EQ, you can look at it from a scientific standpoint, but at the end of the day, you have to study your craft. And I see so many, as a business coach, I see so many leaders, owners, salespeople, managers not studying their craft. And so, I think it's important. It's very important for companies to offer training and things of that nature. But I think we also have a personal responsibility to study on our own. I'm a business coach. I've had a business coach myself for the last, 25 years. I have mentors. I'm reading every day. I'm studying every day. I'm listening to podcasts every day. I'm watching classes online every day. And even some days where it's maybe just for 5 minutes, there's still the ability and the ownership that I think is important to take when it comes to growth. Because what happens is if you only rely on your company, which companies should be doing way more training, but if you only rely on your company, then you only have that perspective. You only have that angle. And then it's really easy to talk kind of corporate speak. And so I love when I hear these companies who do a ton of training and also bring in outside resources to train their people, because they understand that the outside resources who come in to train their people are giving them tools that don't make them sound corporate, right? So they can interpret and give them something that really makes it a little bit more authentic. And so I think, for those who are listening to this, it's really, really important when it comes to, we're talking about metrics and, staying connected. I think one of the ways you stay connected to your metrics is by always studying your craft, not only internally what they provide, but on your own. So you can every day bring something new to the table. That was my secret. I always enjoyed it. I always enjoyed prospecting and growing a company, because every day I was learning so many new things because of my self-study that I could go and I could then implement it the next day, right? Versus just kind of rinse repeating like a robot.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, we're talking about the fundamentals of commercial real estate brokerage, and I think knowing your metrics is number one, and number two is studying your craft. And likewise, my journey was not so much Brian Tracy, although he's amazing. Mine was more like Jim Rohn,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And just I remember hearing, and learning about personal development and leadership and the art of sales and the art of all the psychology behind it. And I'm going, wow, like, why didn't somebody teach me this when I was younger? A, and B, this is amazing wisdom, right? From so much. It was like another part of my brain opened up, and then you're absolutely right. The other part you said about, ideas plus inspiration is what Rome says, right? Can lead to the transformation if you implement and take these things and make them your disciplines, right? Within your daily leadership development, personal development, sales development. And I think Brian Tracy says it well. Like, most people don't study the art of sales, right? Most
Right.
sales professionals, they just get out there and yeah, kind of wing it, right? And yeah, maybe watch someone kind of do this, but if you actually study the craft of communication, of sales, of pitch, of tone, like we talked about last week, even asking the question of conditional question to move forward. How do we term it again, John? The conditional close agreement, right? Where you're asking in a way that's going to stimulate somebody to bring out the objections. And if you're not aware of this, you're not studying it, and then if you're not implementing it, then good luck getting traction on any part of your brokerage. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about last week is I think one of the hardest things to do, right? And if you do it, or if you can't do it, it kind of tells you kind of what went wrong in the initial conversation. But I think to do it, we're talking about your study and I'm studying. I studied the same people you studied. If you're not studying every day, then you can't grow your confidence in sales. And if you're not growing your confidence in sales, then it's really hard to always be taking it to the next level. So you see, at least what I see is a lot of hungry salespeople, but using the same lines day after day, week after week, year after year, and then they can't get out of their own way. And so I always go back to how much are you growing as an individual so you can get more comfortable and evolve to the harder things, right? The conditional close is so difficult. And no matter who teaches it to you, it's still difficult because when you're in the moment and have to say it, that's what makes it really hard.
Exactly, because you don't want to push too hard, too fast, right? We think as salespeople, or even people in general, especially if you're a driver personality or very, very, let's say, transparent and open. Like, I know this is for me, my personality type, right? It's like I don't want to like twist someone's arm. I just want to invite them in, but at the same time, unless you're drawing out those objections or those challenges,
right?
The customer may not even know, the client might not even know until you're asking and triggering that thought, like, yeah, assuming we could agree on price and terms, is there any reason why you wouldn't move forward with X, Y, or Z, whatever you're proposing? And then the price or the fee or I can sell it myself, or find me that up leg first, right? Then I'll consider doing the deal, and then really clarifying that you understand exactly what that is. I think the second part of that is not assuming what they're saying is the heart of the matter, right? There's the art of the science of sales, of listening, which is a lost art in itself.
Yeah.
And understanding like what's a true objection and what's a symptom to maybe the root cause, and then kind of drawing that out with clarifying questions or mirroring. I mean, a gentleman that kind of a new part of my brain opened up as well. He says never split the difference. He was Chris Voss.
Yeah.
And what he talks about is mirroring what someone has just said, the last few words, the last few thoughts of those things, and then asking calibrated questions to really make sure you understand with clarity. Because I think as a sales professional, if we get into like you said, you've been swinging the bat the same way and you feel like you've heard it every single time, if you're not humble enough to say, maybe I'm not hearing it right, or maybe I'm missing something,
right,
then you might not actually get to the heart of the matter. So it's important to take each at bat or each place where you're setting up as a new opportunity, and a new set of listening skills, and a new set of understanding and clarity before you offer that solution or that rebuttal. What do you think? What do you think about that, John?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I love everything you're saying. I don't know if I have too much to add other than, it's. I mean, you kind of laid it out well. I mean, what you're doing is laying out the fundamentals piece by piece, like a puzzle, right? And to me, I think whatever, like I said, to me, anybody who's listening, it's all about understanding what your formula is, what your puzzle is, what your 5 steps are, whatever. I mean, you name it, but the more you can figure out what that is for your DNA, the better it's going to be for you. So I think that's really important. I love what you're talking about. You know, I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so to me, if we go kind of to another layer of this, which is quantifying results, if I'm making X amount of dollars repeatedly every year, sometimes one little tweak, one little difference. I was just on the phone with the other client and we revamped a bunch of stuff they were doing throughout their day. And he sent me a text, hey, the way we revamped my day is 10 times in my business already. I can feel it. Because sometimes people get into a routine and a rhythm and a cadence that they think is working for them, but it is not. It is not. And sometimes it's off by just a hair, but that hair, you can actually quantify the tens, if not hundreds, if not millions of dollars it's costing somebody. So I think it's really tuning in to, you and I are talking about something at a certain frequency and vibration. And I think it's important for people to kind of figure out where their frequency and vibration is, figure out what their formula is, figure out what their step-by-step process is to learn specifically, and then evolve it and move it from that standpoint.
Yeah, and that's why I think coaching is so important, John. And it's kind of plug
Yeah.
for you here. John's my coach, and he helps me grow my business and look at those areas and from an outside, 30,000 foot view, and then from a detailed micro view, right? And make potential adjustments, right? And it's like even Tiger Woods adjusted his swing, right? In the prime of his career, and you go, wow. And even Michael Jordan, as he aged, he changed his
Right.
approach and his strategies and the way that he would approach the game. So having those coaches and those folks that are helping you see those things and challenge and accountability and all those things that help all of us grow are so important. So so John, we have about 5 minutes left. Any other thoughts on, besides the knowing your metrics, right, and then studying your craft?
Yeah.
What might be another law of the fundamentals of commercial real estate brokerage or sales in general?
Courage, right? You got to have courage. You got to be able to ask for business. You got to be, and most people, we talk about, a lot of people don't study sales. Most people don't study the ask, right? And how to ask for business and all the different layers, and all the different times where you can ask for business, where, many people will take it right up to the end zone, but they don't ask for the business. Right. And then they wonder, well, why didn't I get the deal? Well, you didn't ask. Right. And so you can't assume that people are going to just know. Some people may think you're, not asking for a reason. You're too busy. You have too many clients. I mean, the list goes on and on, but they're also waiting for you to lead them and to ask them. And so I see a lot of people lose business because they just don't ask. Does that mean that, if you ask, will they say no? Okay, well, you need to have a couple different asks in your pocket, right? Because you're going to ask one way in person, one way on Facebook, one way on LinkedIn, one way on Instagram, one way on email, one way over the phone, one way over text, right? You're going to have all these different ways that you ask for business. And some of them are off just a smidge and some of them are the same. But again, you got to study and kind of know so you can pull off the shelf when you're ready to be ready.
I love that. And I think part of the courage part is, people are afraid of the no, right? And you can't be afraid of the no. And Grant Cardone said it well. I was on a training with of his about 30 days ago, and he says, "Don't say no, say maybe." Right. So if you're going to make the ask, and if the no does come up, it's a challenge back to the client or the prospect or the person you're talking with. Don't say no, say maybe. And then the point of that is, let's find out what's below that no, or what's below that hesitation. What is the thing that you're trying to solve for, that you feel like me proposing what I proposed is not going to solve for that, right? So don't say no, say maybe. And now let's dive into that a bit and look for another way to solve the problem, right? Or another part that perhaps wasn't as clear, which I think next week, if we dive into the fundamentals of the first listing appointment and kind of clarifying what that is for and what the proposal is for, if it warrants a proposal, right? Understanding motivation, that'll be kind of a teaser for next week. But yeah, don't say no, John. Say maybe. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Maybe I like it. Just trying to go with the maybe.
Maybe I like it.
I think what I say when I hear that, I want to make sure that people, if they don't know, they say they don't know, right? I think so there's no confusion. If I don't know if I don't know something, I say I don't know. I'll look into it and I'll do the research. And but if I don't know if it's a no, then yeah. I don't know. I don't use the word maybe a lot. I don't use that word a lot. That's not a go-to word. So I'll kind of keep my ears open on that one.
Yeah, and maybe I'll get a better clip on that, and I'll send it to you. Grant probably says much better than I do.
Yeah,
but he's got a he's got a strategy behind that. So I'm still learning, right? But see, I had the courage to say it, right? Just to throw it out there to kind of get our brains moving on it, right?
I love it. Listen, there's all these. You got to words make a big difference, and knowing when to use the word and when not to use the word. Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And I appreciate, my closing thoughts are, as we end this week, just be brave and be bold and be courageous and study your craft. I have a ton of information that anybody can get at my website, johndwoskin.com, and books and ebooks and blogs, and it's all free. So, dive in.
Awesome, John. Thanks. And if anyone wants to learn more about ways to eliminate the need for the 1031 exchange, also we have Crypto Capital Gains Tax Mastermind, how to defer capital gains tax on crypto and be able to invest it into passive or active real estate, all tax deferred. That's every Friday, right after the show, actually. We do it at 10 a.m. PST. And you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that. And then if you're interested in looking at EXP Commercial and the team that we're building, our vision is across the nation, every major city. Multifamily is our specialty for my background, and using the deferred sales trust to grow your business. You can also go to expertcresecrets.com. Hey, so we'll be back next week, John. I appreciate your time and your wisdom today. And with that, make it a great week, huh, John?
Appreciate yours. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.